Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Pretty Terrifying, the channel where I talk about horror movies, games, and other media that I enjoy while having a little bit of fun. In this video, I will be talking about and ranking every single Resident Evil movie that I own. Now, I own every single live action Resident Evil movie. When I figured because Resident Evil 9 is right around the corner, this would be a fun video to help build up hype. Now I'm going to start from worst and then go to best. This is all my personal opinion. And if you want to talk about your rankings in the comments, be sure to comment them down below because I am always open to seeing what other people's perspectives are in the medium. Now we have what is my least favorite, Resident Evil, the final chapter. I don't really have much to say about this movie. I feel like this ending was not good with the whole clone situation and just everything about it. Just, it's not that good. I really did not like it. I don't remember a whole lot because I watched this only a few months ago, but this is not good. I don't recommend this movie at all. Here is Resident Evil Extinction up next. Now, when I first saw this movie, it was kind of 50-50 for me, but as I rewatched it again, this did not feel like Resident Evil to me. Now, I do have a couple saving graces. For one, I'm really happy that they introduced Claire Redfield. I wished they would have done Chris as well, but I just I'm just happy that we got Claire at least. I also really like Carlos from the second movie. He was one of my favorite characters in that movie. It was nice to see him again. I'll also say I do like that they tried something a little bit different with like the desert and stuff. But again, I am not a big fan of the cloning. And we get some more of that in this movie. And I can't rank this movie any higher than second to last. I'm sorry, but let's go on to the next one. Next up, we have Resident Evil Retribution. Again, not a big fan of the clones, but I really liked that we got some more of the Resident Evil characters, like Leon Kennedy and Barry Burton. We also got the introduction to Ada Wong, um, and I'm happy that we got some more of the characters. Um, I was confused at first when I first watched this movie about how Wesker was a good guy in this movie, but I mean, the ending was okay. Left off with a cliffhanger. I am mad because the cliffhanger went to nowhere. But honestly, this movie isn't terrible, but it's far from great. I'm more so also upset too that they changed up a couple of the character stories, like Leon's and stuff like that. But also, I'm also upset too that we didn't see any previous Resident Evil characters in this movie. Like seeing Jill or Claire, etc. in this movie would have been pretty cool. I am still mad about the ending though. That cliffhanger led to fucking nowhere. I'm pissed. But let us move on to the next one. Next up, we have Resident Evil Afterlife. Now, I'm going to go over some of the positives I had with this movie and some of the negatives. Positives. I loved that Claire is back. I also loved that we got the introduction of Chris Redfield. He was my favorite character in that movie. And then it was Claire and then Alice. I also really liked the zombie parts in LA. That was really well done. And the introduction to Evil Jail. One last thing I had a con of, and somewhere in the middle of a pro and con, I liked the fight between Chris, Claire, Alice, and then Wesker. All of them trying to fight Wesker. I wish Claire and Chris were in it more, especially with Chris, because as you know in the games, Wesker absolutely despises Chris. But honestly, it was iffy for me. I could have been much better. The effects were okay, and the fight scene where they had it in the ship, it looked like a sterile hospital. But otherwise, I think it was just iffy at most. It wasn't the best, but it's far from the worst Resident Evil movie. Now, let's move on to number three in my top three Resident Evil movies of all time. Number three, we have Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City. This was the Resident Evil reboot that was made after the first six films. This is its own separate canon. And honestly, people give it a lot of flack. I don't think it's that bad. Now I will start with the positives. I love how this tried to stick with the source material as much as possible. More Resident Evil movies need to be like this. I am not against original stories within a universe, but we need a movie that stays true to the Resident Evil story. I also didn't mind a couple of the casting choices. I really liked Chris and Claire's casting, and surprisingly enough, I didn't think I was gonna like it, but Leon's casting wasn't that bad either. The set pieces were pretty good for the budget, and I had a fun time with this movie. Now, a few of the cons. One, I don't think Wesker's casting wasn't too great. It's like the body of RE5 Chris Redfield. It's just it doesn't fit to me. But honestly, he tried his best, and I think he did somewhat of a decent job. I also felt like this movie was extremely rushed. Try combining both RE1 and RE2 story into one movie is a formulaic decision that leads to disaster. I am also severely disappointed in how they messed up my boy Leon. They made him like a weak person that no one wants around, where Leon is not that kind of character. He just wants to do the right thing. He's kind of stoic. He is a strong and heavy willed person. And I feel like they really messed this up in the movie. I also feel like some of the special effects needed a lot of work. Though this was being a low budget movie, it isn't that bad and it has made it to my top three. Let's move on to the next one. Now we've reached to my second favorite. It's Resident Evil Apocalypse. Now this one I really love a lot. This movie was pretty good. I really liked the setting in Raccoon City. We got to see the live action version of Nemesis. We got to see Jill Valentine, the goat, the badass she is. This movie was pretty good. And yeah, I don't really have a lot of complaints about this movie. I feel like some of the CGI could have been slightly better, but I really enjoyed this movie. I don't really have a whole lot of cons with this movie, but this is still a fun watch. Granted, it's not pretty much 100% with the games and the Raccoon City incident in this. We also got introduced to another character, Carlos, who is my favorite character in this movie other than Jail. I'm sorry, Alice, but you're just not that great. Also, that fight at the end with Nemesis, and then Nemesis pretty much going against the bad people who turned him into Nemesis. I really loved it, and this was just so cool. A fun time. I recommend it if you want something on in the background or you just want to watch a fun and ridiculous movie. This is something I highly recommend. This is such a good movie. But let's move on to my favorite one. Here's my number one spot, the original Resident Evil movie. Now, I'll start with the pros. I really liked the story in this one. Granted, had a lot of unnecessary action sequences, but this movie was pretty decent at pretty much the most. I think at one point the director said while making this film, he kind of saw this movie as a prequel to the games. And after rewatching it, yeah, I could definitely see this being a prequel to the games. I really liked the designs of the zombies and the monsters. The hive was also a interesting thing to add to this movie. It's just so good. And then at the ending, where she's in the hospital. She walks outside and she is in the middle of the devastation in Raccoon City. Oh my god, this movie was great. I love this movie, and yeah, that's all my positives. Now, a couple of the cons I have for this movie is that pretty much it didn't really stick too much to the source material, which is to be expected. I wish this was more horror focused and then instead of action heavy, and the CGI could have used some work. It was probably good for the time, but it could have been slightly better. But that's all I really have to say about this movie. This is easily number 7 in my ranking of video game adaptations. But this is a really good movie. I enjoyed it. If you want to have a good time, I recommend this movie. And that was a ranking of every single live action Resident Evil movie, which is pretty much all the Resident Evil movies I own. Tell me in the comments, do you agree with my ranking? What don't you disagree with? Let me know. I'm always open to other perspectives. I love hearing other people's opinions within the horror space. It helps me open my eyes sometimes or try to experience new things. And plus, I think it would spark up great conversation. But anyways, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to subscribe and like only if you want to, or leave a comment. It would help boost engagement and help me a ton. And if you enjoyed my YouTube channel and enjoyed my content in general, I have other social medias. I have a Twitter/X account that I rarely use. I have a TikTok, and I have an Instagram. They would all be showing right here once I started talking about it. But anyways, I hope you enjoy, like, subscribe, only if you want to, and I will see you on the other side of the blade. This has been pretty terrifying.